Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Between Two Bellsprouts, the place where we ask two questions at the beginning of this show. The first question is, what is going on in the world of Pokemon Go PvP this week? And the other one is the audio working on Jiggly's stream? So we will see whether Jiggly has managed to put things together properly this week. We are working with not one, but two guests today to help us discuss everything, including the primary topic, which is that Sylph Factions is officially underway this week. Oh, and we've got a Go Fest thing on the screen. Get off there, Jiggly. I deleted you. Um, okay. Um, so we are joined by two people who both are what I would call Sylph devotees. It's kind of strange that I don't think that we've had either of them on the stream. Steve since Shoutcast School Days apparently, and Sticks. I don't know that we've ever connected up, but these are the people I appreciate in the PvP space, and they are both heavily involved in factions. I know that just now Steve just got done doing a broadcast with Speediest Chief, where I think you guys were running back some of the matches. Was it the Chicago Stars versus something?
Canadian shooter.
Canadian Shield on. There we go. And that was in the ultimate. Is it Diamond tier? Is that the where that
That is
was
the one.
from? All right. So we had that going on, and I know Styx has been doing a series of videos as well on YouTube devoted to the faction stuff. And so I figured, well, who better to have on than to talk about this first week, and just the idea that it is finally official that we are doing things, and some of the specifics as well. So why don't you tell me, Sticks, what you are trying to do with your series on YouTube in terms of I mean, certainly as has been discussed many times, it's a lot harder to get the eyeballs on content these days when it is self stuff as opposed to GBL stuff. But some of us really appreciate that there is that kind of content. But what is it specifically you are hoping to bring to the content space in terms of your factions content?
Well, my main goal with it is just to provide something for people to kind of get in and learn about these teams. A lot of these teams, they don't, some of them have Twitter accounts and stuff like that, but just getting to know all the players that's on there, I feel like that's fairly important. And honestly, I just feel like Factions is so much better than GBL. Like, I know it doesn't get the eyeballs to the content and everything, and GBL content is very easy to make as far as just make a team, push out a video. But I feel like Factions is kind of where it's at, and I've just always kind of enjoyed Sylph more. And so I'm just kind of going back to my roots, I guess. I didn't see a lot of people, getting into Factions that much as far as like pushing content out there. So I just wanted to get it out there, get more eyeballs on it, because I think some of these teams are really stacked. They've got a lot of talent on them.
And what is the format? I haven't had a chance to check out anything. What is the format that you're following? I know that I have seen that MJ Get It is doing some stuff for Silk proper and putting out some reports. I think they're calling it, is it FSPN or something like that? What sort of format are you following, Sticks, as far as how you're covering it? Because it's obviously there's many tiers, there's many teams, there's many matches each week, and you can only cover so much. So are you focusing, taking a micro lens, a macro lens? Are you just kind of jumping all over the place? What are you doing?
Well, I started off the last week. I did kind of microscope. I took a look at diamond tier and platinum because I figured that's what most people would be most interested in, looking at those tiers, because there's a lot of really great teams in those tiers. And then I also did a full breakdown with ranks and everything for every tier for North America. So from diamond all the way through bronze. And probably like towards the end of the season, I'll try to highlight some open teams as well that I think could move up into bronze tier once we kind of have a better idea of who those top players are going to be, or top teams are going to be.
And one thing that I think is a funny dynamic. Now, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. Or you don't partake in factions, right? You just are an enthusiast, or do you have
I
a
mean, I'm in
faction
there.
now?
But
You're in there now?
the difference is because there's like the 4 different regions. I'm over in APAC, so I'm
Oh,
like,
that's true.
you know,
Okay.
way far into. I'm not going to
Okay.
appear.
I was
years
of the
later.
impression that you just weren't even okay, but you're in it as well. But so that's kind of a funny dynamic because this is probably the only time that this has ever occurred where literally we have Sticks on as a guest and we literally faced his team in round one in week one. So this is like informational and I have to say a GG's to you, but in the most sincere, non-toxic way.
Yeah.
But how does that feel in terms of the dynamic that's always been out there with Sylph content, where those who take it seriously, they really take it seriously. And one of the reasons that was always pitched as to why Sylph content didn't get traction after GBL came out was that, your high ranked players, your really high strategy players simply weren't willing to put their strats, their matches, their plays out there on display in sort of a timely fashion where people would both be interested in it and it could potentially undermine their own strategies if somebody were to study up on them. The sort of the hero Vange effect, if you will, where once you put your videos out there, it's difficult. So Steve kind of filling that hero Vange slot, and you obviously you're partaking in factions and you're talking about it, and you were battling us this week. So how do you feel about that disconnect between the coverage of it and the partaking in it, and how do you draw those lines?
I mean, for me, I just have a lot of fun with it. I'm not the best battler in Sylph. I'm not the best in GBL. So to me, it's just fun. I like the team format, getting together with the faction and kind of strategizing and then, actually doing the battle, and then, your strategy totally goes out the window. It's a lot of fun. I do enjoy that portion of it. So, and as far as I think there is a lot of that where people have their strats and they kind of hold them close and don't really reveal them until after the fact. And I do see some of that. I know some of these factions are taking this very seriously, especially in the upper tiers, and really strategizing and sitting there and scrimming like for multiple hours a day to try to figure out what teams are going to run and everything and what to do against a certain matchup. So it'll be very interesting to see as the season progresses.
And Steve, what has been your experience in terms of the sort of hero Vange arc, and in terms of how much are you enjoying the Sylph battles versus the Sylph content, and how do you draw that line? Because I think that there's an inevitable tension. I know that I haven't even been remotely the same battler ever since I started streaming. Like it's just been a straight downward arc, and it's very easily explained because I just don't care as much as I used to. But like, how do you feel about it? Do you get more joy from the covering it as well, and just kind of participate as a secondary matter because you do enjoy it, but you're not really as concerned about the outcome, or are you really competitive about it, Steve?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty similar to you in the sense that I spend a lot more hours making content than I do with the app actually open. Like way more. Like it is significant how different those two things are. Um, Certainly from a factions point of view, I look, this is a bit of a secret, but I'm not actually that good. I'm all right. I'm okay. Not actually that good. So I don't I don't really have much in the way of like these big strategies to kind of put out there and then it's exposed. I kind of very much work a little bit on the fly. I end up with a balanced team of 6, and then I kind of just run around, do what I can against whatever the team I see. Which I've certainly made some moves, back in the past before factions, like back in Voyager Cup, which was the regionals meta, I think, or maybe it was Sorceress. Whatever the season 2 regionals meta was, I was doing. I think I did like daily videos for a week, maybe during that. But I was using this hypno that had like this one particular moveset in every video, and then in my regionals, I used this completely different moveset on my hypno, just in as a bit of a red herring, I guess, in terms of because I ran Focus Blast in regionals, and that was the big surprise. It single handedly won me one of my regionals rounds. Just Focus Blast and a Bastion, bada bing, bada boom, Mr. Worldwide when I walk in the room. Um, so, so it's I haven't done anything like that since, and I haven't actually put out any like factions battles in the lead up to factions. Like I have the ones from All Star Invitational, but that was done ages ago, back in January. So yeah, I guess because the viewership isn't necessarily there as much as it is for like regular Sylph content. So I like to include the Sylph factions content in there, but it just hasn't quite got the traction yet. Eventually, once it does get some more traction, I would like to do some more featuring of battles on my channel. Although I feel like my content's kind of gone in the direction where I'm featuring a lot more of other people's battlers that are actually good. So I'm not exposing my strategies. I'm just exposing theirs. So I guess it's become easy in that regard. But as far as doing factions for the fun, I'm very much just participating in factions because it's a fun thing to do. It's a good time. I've got a team with Dr. Trotter and a bunch of the other, some really good battlers in Australia and New Zealand. Thunderous Down Under. We're doing pretty well, I think. We've done all right until we had to face like Wanko's team at some point. That was just, we don't need to talk about that.
So as far as both of you, and you're both covering, you're both participating, and we talk about just kind of the format in general. Do you guys look at particular teams that you are, like a fan of or that you root for? Not that you get to name them, but like, do you look at it kind of as a fan or just more of a content producer? Are there things that you really would seek out and want to see in the content space if you were not the one putting it on? Or is it more like there's only so much time in the world?
I think for me, there's definitely some teams that I like and like to see. I would love to see more battles from particular teams. There's just a lot of teams that I think are really good. And there are, I know Wing Attack from North America. I think they're platinum tier. They actually have a YouTube channel and they post at least one bout from every person or one match from every person each week. And I just found out about that last week. They messaged me and say, "Hey, we've got this video." I'm like, that's really cool that you guys are putting that out there. And it's just been fun to watch. They commentate over them and everything. So it's just fun to watch and see from their side. So.
And I think you've buried the lead a little bit there because Wing Attack has their own theme song.
I haven't heard this.
Wow.
After this, if not on stream, you need to search up the YouTube channel, start up their video. They've got the theme song going. It is awesome.
Wow.
Easily the greatest thing that has come out of factions so far.
Wow. I feel like a complete slacker now. We need theme songs for everything.
I need to like mute myself so I can listen to it and it doesn't get weird over the mic.
It's not like, it's not an anthem, but
all I need is like a catchy little jingle and we're set.
So how have both of you felt as this season started? And certainly if you've been around here at all, I think both of you tend to be fairly, you pop in, I see the names lurking, that sort of thing. So I don't know how much you see, but there's been a malaise in the community, certainly on my part of the community. It's been a bad vibe to be part of the Pogo world, probably the last 2-3 weeks. And no matter what, it doesn't really seem like you can escape that. And part of it is just a general thing, and part of it is that the game still technically doesn't work amazingly well a lot of the time. So how do you guys feel about still finally being official, if you will, not like a preseason thing, and that lining up with sort of this odd space that we are as a community, as a PvP community? Like, Steve, do you see this picking up the spirits of people in the PvP community, or that people are looking at it and they're just kind of like, PvP is not really where my head is right now. It's hard for me to focus on this when I'm feeling this way.
So I'm seeing Alyssa smiling, and I'm only hoping that it's because of the theme song.
I'm thinking so.
It is 100% because of that theme song. That was fantastic. Wow, job well done to them.
It's a good theme song. Well, yeah.
Anyway, back to the question at hand. I think it's a very sort of interesting little space. I feel like because Sylph obviously pushed Worlds back by like a month. Well, I think it was like 3 weeks, not quite a month. But it just feels like there's been all of this time where there's not really been much in the way of Sylphie sort of feeling.
Right.
I think a lot of the momentum has been kind of kicked out of the sails of Worlds by having this such disconnect between the season and then Continentals and then eventually Worlds, that it's all kind of feeling very slow. Like I don't really remember battling in Sylph outside of factions at the moment. Like I haven't been doing tournaments. I haven't had 3 different tournaments that I have to schedule my battles for and whatnot. It's all been very different. So I know that I don't know, I guess factions hasn't struck me as Sylphie. Maybe it's just because, or it's dominating of my headspace. Maybe it's because it is only like one battle a week that it's like it's kind of a little more. It's just going to become this thing that's always there. Um, but as far as the community sentiment, I know that a lot of people are, kind of backing out at the moment, and I don't know how many of them are going to come back around when Sylph comes back around, if they're going to come back at all. I think we're certainly going to be losing some, which is unfortunate. I wonder if right now, I wonder if the feeling is potentially, if the Sylph season was still going on right now, whether it would be a bit different, whether there would be more people that would stick around. Oh, I'm not doing GBL, but I'll do Sylph, as opposed to I quit. I wonder if it's a bit of a, take out GBL, and then I'm kind of sitting here not doing anything on Pogo. And then it's like, oh, I guess I'll find some other things to do. Factions can only fill so much time. I'll go start playing Sword and Shield or something and get going, run along with that. So I don't know. It's a bit of a wait and see. It's hard to say what's going to eventuate. Obviously, there's that fabled September 1st date that's only a week away, where we'll see if anything happens. To be honest, I'm a little skeptical about what's going to happen on September 1st in regards to, like, I feel like if it's a negative outcome, if Niantic kind of goes, yeah, screw you guys, I'm going home. Then if people are actually, like, any more people are going to quit than have already quit, like, I'm not sure how much more it's going to push people away. I feel like people are already, like, the people who were going to quit have, were definitely going to quit, have quit, they're outie, and for their own betterment, I suppose, in that regard, because there's certainly a lot of negative feelings surrounding this game that you should not partake in if it is all you are feeling. But I'm not sure how significant it's going to be. I guess I feel like I've rambled around in a circle a little bit. I've lost track of the question, but at any rate, that's
Right.
I don't know, sort of what I'm feeling around it all at the moment. It's
right.
a bit up in the air.
All right. What about you, Sticks? Where's your head, your team's head? You don't have to get into specifics, but like, are you feeling more positive or negative sentiment around things as we kind of move into factions? Were you at all worried that like you weren't going to have a team of 8 moving forward at any point or anything like that? Like, does it feel like that, or does it feel like you're excited for something positive going on?
I mean, I think our team's excited, but there is a little bit of that negative as well. I know it has brought, as far as, I mean, we're all local guys basically here that are playing in the faction together. So I know there's been a few times when they've gotten together, over a burger or whatever, and hung out for a little bit and talked about Pokemon Go, talked about life, that kind of stuff. So it's brought us together a little bit more because, I mean, obviously we've been, doing remote tournaments for, so long in Sylph. And I think that really did kill the momentum of Sylph quite a bit. I felt like this is kind of building it back a little bit. Obviously, we'd all love to be in live tournaments, but that's just not the case right now where we can be. So, but as far as like where I'm at right now, I've kind of, stopped doing as much GBL, kind of do a set here or there. I think for the whole season, I might have done 300 battles total. Like I just haven't done very much. So for me, I enjoy the Sylph factions. It is just one battle a week that I have to think about. I have a lot more time to prepare for it and think about, everything in that regard. So I like that, especially with everything I've got going on with work, family, everything that kind of just that one battle a week, I can commit to that.
Right.
15 minutes to actually battle, and then the time prep time before that. So I think it's been really good, and that's a lot where our faction is. We've got families and just different things going on, so it's good for us that we can kind of, it's not a huge commitment. I mean, it's a long commitment in the fact that we've got, we're committed for 7 or 8 weeks at a time, but yeah, it's been really good as far as that aspect of it. I think for me, it's the best thing going right now in Pokemon Go is still factions. I mean, because GBL half the time it works, it lags out, and then I just get frustrated. I'm like, okay, why am I even doing this? But just a lot of things. And as far as this September 1st deadline, I mean, man, they could totally not reverse the reverse the distance back to what it is, which I feel like is kind of weird they wouldn't, based on what's going on right now in the U.S. But I mean, for me, it's more the communication from them, or the lack of communication.
Right.
Like, they just need to be more transparent about everything and let us know what's going on. They kind of started that process with GBL, kind of giving us the blog and everything like that. But it's kind of just, they update it every once in a while with a new issue. And there's not a whole lot of, talking to the community and telling us, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, the whole Pidgeot thing has just been banned for the whole season, basically. And we don't get any updates besides like, oh, it was data mined, it's been banned from this one now and this one. And we're like, what's going on with Pidgeot? Like, and then now we finally get something that it's going to come back for season 9. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, we'll probably get some sort of a tweet that'll have like a triumphant Pidgeot coming out, and Niantic will just kind of gloss over it. Oh, you're the day you've all been waiting for. Pidgeot is back.
Right.
They would like nothing ever happened.
Well, we kind of, that's my thing. I just want to know why was it banned the whole time? What was the actual issue? What they did to fix it? That kind of stuff is interesting to me.
Right.
And it may not interest the whole community, but I kind of want to just know what's going on.
Well, like you say, it's just the transparency, which can be a communication thing, it can be an accountability thing, it can be a fairness thing, it can be an expectations thing, it can be so many different things that like they fail on the transparency and communications, and everything else that comes after that is just a hot mess. Like, people feel bad about the money they spent, people feel bad about things that were taken from them, weren't given to them, all these different things. They really don't appropriately set expectations, I think. And the only way that they set expectations is by saying, hey, get used to this lack of communication. You've dealt with it thus far. Why don't you just keep on dealing with it? What about what are you guys looking to do moving forward? Especially you, Steve. Are you looking to do these sort of feature matches on a regular basis? Is it going to be a weekly thing? Is it going to be more than that? How are you figuring out what you're doing on that front?
Yeah, so the game plan at the moment is that it's going to be every 2 weeks ish. There's going to be some give or take there, but it's kind of like, the idea is that every cycle there's going to be 7 bouts, because it's like you've got 8 teams in Diamond Tier and they each play each other once, that sort of deal. And so in the one cycle, the plan is that there's going to be 1 stream for North America, 1 stream for Latin America, 1 stream for EU, 1 stream for APAC on weeks 1, 3, 5, 7 is the current plan. Don't hold me to that. That very well may change very quickly, very fast. But that is the current idea. So today we did the North America stream with the Chicago Stars versus Canadian Shield on. And I guess the game plan there would be to pick another 2 teams from each of the Diamond tiers. Or it's kind of hard to say, like, this is who we're going to... I guess when teams come out Monday, America time. So I guess on the Monday we'll be like, all right, we're going to feature this match on stream this week. Let's go, and then put it all together in that regard. So that's probably the main way that I'm going to be involved. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing like... I've been given some control over it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be casting every time. I feel like the Latin America one especially should potentially be Spanish casters.
I think it should be Spanish in an Australian accent. That would be amazing.
Oh dear. Well, I'll get Duolingo out, and we can get there eventually. I Continentals, because I did the Continentals Latin America stream with 2 Latin American casters, and I was just sitting there clicking buttons. When I got told to click buttons, they were like, "Next battle." I went, "Okay, click." I did not know what was going on at all. I went back and watched some of it on like closed captions, like so I could get auto translate YouTube captions, which sometimes worked, sometimes didn't, to the best of its ability. But I think that's the main way. And then also I'm intending to keep doing the meta simplified stuff for any new battlefield metas that come around, because that's, I don't know, I like MS Paint. It's a fun thing to draw around in, doodle.
You are loyal not only to Sylph but also to MS Paint. I have to say, the conversations that we've had, and I talk about, like, you might want to use Photoshop, and you're like, no, that's part of the thing. It's MS Paint. I'm like, no.
It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same if you used Photoshop and it looked good.
Sorry, do you want me to make good graphics?
It's way better. The hand-drawn arrows and everything. It's it's PvPSteve at that point. It's all about good stuff.
It's all about the scribblies. The scribblies are the best.
The scribblies.
Any opportunity I can get to scribble.
Yes.
And so I assume, or do you know what kind of schedule you're going to operate on Styx? Do you have a plan for how often you're going to put content out?
Well, I'm planning at least weekly, and that's what I've been working on tonight, is trying to get everything wrapped up from last week and then prepare for next week battle. So I'm still trying to figure that out. So it may need to be 2 videos so I can actually, do it in a timely manner. And get it out before the bouts actually start. So yeah, it's something I'm trying to figure out right now. And that's what I kind of spent last week doing a little bit, trying to get a feel for it. And then I'm spending this week doing kind of the same thing.
Now, I guess you should clarify this for me, Steve, before we move further, because I could very well have a mistaken impression. But you have some self-affiliation, but what is your level of connection to the factions process? I was going to ask you how you felt about the having the split specialist metas, but then I was thinking to myself, maybe he had some input on whether or not that was a thing or not. And so if he did, he probably thinks it was a brilliant idea. Did you?
That was awesome. I did a great job. I am not involved in putting that stuff together.
Okay.
At all. I may be a puppet master of all things, but not that at this point. But I think it's, so when they first announced it, they didn't really make it clear whether it was going to be one or if it was going to be multiple. I'm talking like back before All-Star Invitational happened. So for All-Star, it was going to be one consistent meta, being what was the last one? The Floating City Battlefield. But it wasn't clear that was always going to be the case. So I was I watched back my video that I did on factions when that announcement came out, and I kind of did some speculating, like, oh, maybe it's eventually going to be like there's going to be 4 different metas going on. Maybe once there's been this sort of repertoire built of all these battlefields, like, I think Kratos said in an interview I did with him in January that he'd set up like 5 different metas ready to go with factions or something like that. So I was kind of thinking maybe it would be a case where they all slowly kind of drip out, and then there's going to be 5 different metas that are kind of flying around. It's a little bit weird that they ended up bringing in like a Sylph meta in Nightfall Cup in. I'm not sure if it was a case of like, because it's called Nightfall Cup, whereas the other ones are like the Dungeon Battlefield meta.
Right.
Which kind of struck me as strange. I didn't know if it was because they wanted to kind of test the waters a little bit with having 2 different metas, and they were like, oh, we'll just do one that's kind of familiar to people so that they don't have to learn 2 different metas in 1 week. Or, I mean, they could have gone Floating City again, I suppose. But I think it's an interesting move. So in my faction, we kind of do a poll at the start of every cycle. We'll be like, okay, what roles people interested in? And then it's like react. I want to do Nightfall Cup and I want to do Great League Specialist. And there was certainly a lot more people leaning towards wanting to do the Dungeon Field than wanting to do Nightfall Cup. I don't know if that was just because they're sick of Nightfall, or if because they've done Nightfall Cup and they're just not as good at it. or maybe it was because people wanted to do something new in the dungeon field. But I think at the end of the day, it was probably eventually going to happen that there weren't going to always be just all 4 people doing the one meta. And it is like a little bit, I guess, only kind of realizing it now. If you've got 4 people doing this one meta and then the other 3 people are all doing a meta on their own, completely separate from everyone else in Great League, Ultra League, Master. So maybe it eventually makes sense that people become a little bit more specialized in this or that. Like, oh, Dr. Trotter, he's a king at Dungeon Field meta. So we want him to go every week in that role. So at the end of the day, I'm giving it a tentative thumbs up. Interested to see how confusing or convoluted it may get in the future if we're going to have 7 different metas going on at the same time with everyone going, oh yeah, I'll help you practice, but I don't really know what's going on, sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess I ended up in a weird spot this week. I actually did Great League, which I normally don't do. So I can't really speak to this dynamic, but normally as a field specialist, it seems like the dynamic is at a minimum, like people bouncing kind of what they're going to use, what they're thinking of using, and being available for scrims. And if you have 4 of those people plus potentially an alternate, like you have a much wider variety, much larger opportunity for scrimming with actual purpose, if you will, like somebody who is learning the meta for a reason, not just learning the meta to try and help somebody practice for a few times. So narrowing that down to 2 or 2 plus the alternate, whatever you want to consider it, definitely limits that a lot. And I wonder how that affects the dynamic of teams generally, because if you are one of 2 people trying to learn a meta, it's kind of you're out there on your own trying to figure it out. And you didn't put out a video on that, did you? You didn't put out like a dungeon video?
I did Dungeon Meta Simplified, yeah.
Okay.
Although I forgot to mention, I didn't include dragons on the graphic.
Got the dragons.
And I meant to talk about it at the end, and I completely forgot, which was quite embarrassing. But once I think I mentioned it before the stream started that I need to start writing stuff down. It's mandatory at this point because otherwise I'll keep forgetting that sort of stuff. But dragons are okay.
So write it down, then open MS Paint only after everything's written down.
Well, no, I had it written. Actually, I did have it written down on like a piece of scrap paper because I just like start drawing on a piece of paper, like scribble 5 different meta simplifieds before I make one in Paint, and I did write down dragons, neutralists, talk about it after, but I didn't like write it into some script or anything. So I left it on this piece of paper. Then I went and recorded elsewhere from this paper, and just forgot. And
we need a behind the scenes video of you scribbling all these out on your pieces of paper.
Yeah,
see the process.
It'll happen. One time we'll do it on stream. Except that will have to be in a case if the meta comes out. Like the Dungeon Field meta came out before I knew it was coming out. So maybe factions metas will be like that, and I'll do a making of the meta live on stream, and then live recording, and then I won't be able to post it to YouTube for like 24 hours because that's like Twitch rules.
So you kind of floated the idea there that it hadn't even occurred to me. You could see these battlefields being something that get frequently recycled in that context in order to allow people to truly, quote, specialize as opposed to learning a new meta each month, I guess. That seems like a viable option that's out there on the table too, because I'd never even thought about that possibility. I just always assumed that it was going to be rotating meta each month and that you just kind of had to respond to what came out.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was just the fact that I did already hear Kratos talk about the fact that he'd scribbled up a bunch of different metas ideas for factions, and it seemed like it would be a lot of work for them to have to make. Like, I know they already work really hard on the monthly Sylph Arena metas, and then to add on top of that having to do all these factions metas constantly. I mean, even if they like reuse metas, they're still going to have to like potentially rebalance them. Like, oh, now that Lickitung has Mudshot, we're going to have to ban Lickitung from this format now, sort of thing. But it, I'd put money on seeing some more recycling as we move forward. I know they actually have done some, they're doing some hiring for the meta teams. I saw that announcement that they're trying to bring some more people on, which I know that their team beforehand was literally like 3 people, and one of them was PvPoke. So I know that they were working pretty hard before that. But I don't know, maybe they'll tackle some new things. I mean, I'm sure that even if they've got their 5 metas out there released that are recycling around, they're still going to come up with new metas as we go on. I think it would get a bit stale if we just sat with the same. Say there were 7 different individual roles. I think it would be quite stale if we stuck with those 7 all the way through. So I'm expecting recycling, but also new stuff coming in along the way.
And the other thing is, I mean, the cycles are 8 weeks, so that's a lot. That's double the length of a normal monthly meta. I could also see them using factions as kind of a testing ground for some of the metas as well, just to kind of see how it shakes out a little bit. Or the opposite of that could be true as well, to use the monthly metas for eventually to come to factions, kind of to save them some of that time of figuring out the metas and everything.
Yeah. And how do you like the dynamic that we got week 1 in terms of the split metas for the specialists, or how did you feel about that, Sticks?
It was okay. I actually built teams for both so we could scrim in our team, and so it was kind of hard for me to focus basically on one, because I was trying to. It's a team game, so you want the team to do well, but definitely, trying to figure out which one everybody was, kind of had a good feel for I think is going to be something that plays in the upcoming weeks. Is figuring out who's really good at which meta. So overall, I think 2 is probably the number. I think 4. If they go to 4, that's just going to be, that's too much to try to get scrims in and everybody building. Even if you split off into pairs, you'd have to build each person building 2 and trying to get those scrims in and everything. It's gonna be really tough to do 4 at a time.
4 seems unmanageable.
Yeah, I think two feels like the perfect balance to me. You've got that other person in your meta, and you can kind of battle against them.
And It's nice because if one of you super hates it the first week, you can just swap for the next week, and maybe you'll perform a little bit better there. Like if one of our other teammates really didn't like Dungeon, I would be happy to switch with them. That'd be fine.
Right. So we are entering, and this is GBL related, but in the most tangential way from my perspective. We're entering the final 2 weeks of GBL season, whatever we're on. I literally don't, it's like Survivor to me. I don't care what season we're on. They all just kind of blend into the next. The only thing that matters to me is the move updates. And what are you guys thinking in terms of excitement level of them doing some move updates, or even game updates to actually kind of fix some things? Where do you think we'll be at for that? Do you think we're going to be in a position where we actually get our beginning season move updates, or do you think we'll be let down? I'll let Sticks go first, and I think he might be needing to head out shortly. Oh, he's got to step off. So Steve, go ahead, because he stepped out of the room. I can't see him. He's unaccountable. But what do you think, Steve? Do you think we'll be lucky enough to get those move changes at the beginning of the season, like I personally like to get, or do you think that they're going to delay it with all the turmoil going on?
I still think we're going to see the move changes come through. It's kind of like they've set it up so it's like the only time they can reasonably do it, even though that wasn't even the first time that they released stuff on like the first day of the season. They also did like a mid-season move change, which I don't think they've done since.
Right.
I'd be wrong on that one, but I'd be confident to say that there is going to be one. Part of me wonders if there is going to be a nerf to Pidgeot, even though that wasn't why it was banned in the first place. I know that they'll be like, here's Pidgeot, and we're clipping one of its wings. Sorry.
Right.
But I'm kind of interested. I do think it's going to come out. And I don't know if excitement is very high for it. I've seen a lot of people going, yeah, let's bring on some bug updates. And I'm kind of like, okay. I'll just roll with the punches. Whatever comes out, sort of thing. I'm not really asking for anything.
All right, so you don't have any personal stake in the game. You don't have any predictions or ones that you really want to get buffed. I'm rolling with Scald as being a definite change. Like, it doesn't even seem possible that Scald isn't going to get buffed, but and maybe some of the other evolution moves. But where are you at on that? You're just going to see what it does and not try and prognosticate, or do you have some magical Aussie fortune telling that you can do for us?
Well, we do have some fortune telling powers, but unfortunately, we're only able to do it in the summer, which because our seasons are flipped around, it's other side of the year. So bring me on then, and I'll be able to do some nice predictions. But for the time being, I'm pretty happy to just go like. I'm literally the only thing that I keep hearing people say is bug. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be bug. Let's go. And I think you are definitely correct that Scold is going to get a buff, whether it's going to be this season or not. It's guaranteed to get one eventually because it's got that burn effect. So it's presumably going to be some sort of defense debuffing move, and it'll come through eventually. I only learned like a few months ago on because Zoe was a part of some like main series VCG sort of tournament thing, and in that video she mentioned that burn makes your attack do less damage, which I didn't ever realize despite playing a lot of the main series games. I didn't know that burn reduced your attack. So I guess there's also room for it being an attack debuffing move, but Scold is going to do something. I hope that it's soon, because that would seem cool. It also make things seem less useless, and also give time before the December Community Day rolls around, when people who underestimated Scold and were like, "Oh, you only need Umbreon and Sylveon, you don't need any of the other ones," because they didn't respect FOMO. Maybe they'll be able to reconsider come December and be like, "Okay, now that Scold is good, I will build some Vaporeons, whatever."
Or Jolteons or Flareons, because it's random and you can't, guarantee that if you've already done the name trick.
If you have any future VCG questions, just always ask Ethan, because he's the expert on VCG questions. he'll rely.
I didn't know about the burn decrease on physical moves.
Okay, all right. He'll reliably give you the wrong answer, but apparently not on that one. Oh, so what we were going into, Sticks, when you stepped out was just the fact that with these final 2 weeks means that we can potentially see an announcement from Niantic in maybe the next, I guess anytime in the next 2 weeks, we can see that, next season is going to look like this. These are the move changes you're going to see. Did you have any predictions, hopes, and do you think that we will see beginning of the season move changes, or do you think we will be let down because of the current kind of situation surrounding the game where Niantic is potentially focused on other things?
I definitely think we'll see some move updates. Hopefully they're not as lackluster as we've seen sometimes from them, because they are spacing out the move updates quite a bit now, since they're doing it at the start of each season. And so I feel like they do have to do something. The community kind of expects it at this point, because they've been fairly consistent in that. As far as I always want to see Arcanine get better moves, so that's always my hope and dream. But whether that'll actually happen this time, probably not. But I do think some of the water moves, I do think will possibly see some updates, because I don't know if they've had any besides Bubble getting nerfed a while back. I think it's been a while since we've had any water updates. So that's a possibility. And they do seem to kind of go through and have a set type the last few. Like last one was poison, so I think it could just be a type that they kind of go through and tweak a little bit. So I'll go with water, just kind of throw it out there as the type that I think needs some work, because there definitely are some moves like Scald that just don't do a whole lot right now.
Right. All right. The other thing that I feel like I need to get everybody to give a show of hands on is this week is infamous. It's my least favorite day. It's Go Battle Night. Who's planning on taking part in Go Battle Night, and how many battles are you planning to do if you do it? I'm sure I'll do some because of the dust, but I won't take it seriously. I'm gonna guess we'll just rotate around. Ethan, are you planning on doing it at all? Because I know that you haven't been playing the game much at all. Are you planning on doing any Go Battle Night for the rewards, or just sit it out?
The last time I did GBL, and it was like, it was this weekend, but that was like the first time in like 2.5 weeks. I missed out on the entire like bonus Stardust stuff, and it was kind of frustrating. But the last time I did it was in an IHOP, so you can pretty much like, you can see how seriously I'm taking GBL. I'm doing it just to like, I don't know. After I eat, I'm doing it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I did like 2 battles, and I'm good. um, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do Go Battle Night. Great League's back, so that's cool. Want to try some Pokemon out, but other than that, I don't know. I'm definitely not. I don't slack on GBL during the season. Like when you guys are mentioning like you don't have many battles, I just feel ashamed of myself because I feel like I'm constantly on a hamster wheel trying to push for high rank, but I don't know, whatever. I don't know about this next season. We'll see. We'll see. I always get excited when they release the poses, so we'll see if this one's actually worth going for. If not, I might not do it, but we'll see. Yeah.
Niantic, if you want Ethan to come back, Pokeball guy pose is the one. That'll grab him.
Oh no.
Pokeball guy pose.
Pokeball guy. No,
That's
Pokeball
it.
Guy. No.
All right. What about you, Alyssa? Are you planning on doing Go Battle Night? And if so, like how serious or how many matches deep are you expecting to get?
So I think I'm probably going to do, I don't know, most of them. It depends on how long it takes. But I haven't been playing like at all this season, so my rank is pretty low. I think I've done maybe like, oh man, I would have to check, a couple hundred battles at most. Enough to get to like maybe like ace or better, and I don't even know. I haven't opened it in weeks. But I think the plan is to grab some friends and go out to a restaurant or a bar kind of thing and just hang out for a couple hours and spend time with each other, do some battles. It's really more about enjoying my friends' company than it is about the actual battles. I don't really care about hitting legend. It's not really where I get my competitive kicks. That's factions and self for me. But we can still make a fun night of it, have some drinks, and do some battles that get progressively worse as the night goes on.
You already said earlier off stream that you're better as you get more alcohol in you, so you can't have it both ways.
I don't know. Maybe because I stopped like overthinking. I don't know.
And what about you, Steve? In Australia, are you going to be doing your Go Battle Night, and will you be taking it seriously, getting a few battles in, and just finding something else to do? What are you going to do?
Well, to answer that question, I have to ask another question. When's Go Battle Night? Is that like
Thursday 6 to midnight, essentially?
Well, in that case, I'm busy that night, so no. I'm not busy. I'm just not really.
That you have to wash your hair that night. Wait, which day is it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm busy. When is it? Yeah, I'm not. I've done some of the Go Battle. I think I did the Flying Cup Go Battle Night, which I think was like the first one that they pushed back like 3 times.
That was the
or something.
worst.
Which was interesting. I only got like halfway through the battles on that one, and then I think I did like one other Go Battle Night, maybe. I think it was more recent that I did it, but I don't know. I'm just not a GBO guy.
Right.
You may be able to guess I'm a bit more of a Sylphie sort of fella.
Oh yeah, I think we all. It's always curious to me just because of the Stardust rewards, and you'll even see the people who take it seriously do the tanking and then winning and whatever, all these different angles on it. And as much as I don't take it seriously, some people are just like, you got to do it for the dust. What kind of person are you, Sticks, on the Go Battle Nights? Do you bother? Do you try and maximize dust, or do you not care?
I think last time I did, a handful of battles, so got a little bit of dust. I don't really take them that seriously. And part of it is I don't get started, my family and everything else. I won't get started till 8:30, 9 o'clock, and there's just no way I'm going to get all the battles in at that point. So either I'm just, tanking my rank basically just to get the dust, or I do a handful of battles and I'm good. So I usually just go that way. I'd much rather see it be go battle day, basically. Just make it the whole day. I don't
Right.
understand why they try to stuff 25 sets in,
That's how the Merrill one was, correct? Right. That one was definitely earlier in the day. I can't remember how many hours it persisted, but it was definitely earlier. I preferred that as well, even though you might not. It's easier for me to get free in the evening, but you can always find like some time because it was on a Saturday. I've often been confused by what exactly it is Niantic is trying to achieve with Go Battle Night, especially when they've made it more frequent. It doesn't feel to me like they're really appealing to like the actual battling devotee crowd. They're basically appealing to people putting out content, people who really want the dust and don't really care about the results, and people who have nothing going on Thursday nights. Thursday night just seems like a really weird choice. I feel like they kind of went down the list and they're just like, okay, Tuesday is Spotlight Hour, Wednesday is Raid Hour. Let's just put it on Thursday. We can't have two things on the same day. But I would agree that a weekend in the middle of the day feels a little bit safer, especially for something that you don't have to do the whole thing. So I feel like it's kind of a rudderless idea that Niantic threw out there that's been kind of I don't know bastardized by the masses, if you will, where it's just like some people love it, but not very many that I've seen. It's just kind of there. If you want the dust, you do it, but nobody really is like, I'm in love with the process of doing so many battles all in this short amount of time. Very strange.
It's very tilting sometimes too,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're trying to get them all in. I know a lot of like the people that get up into the higher ranks, they're just queuing for so long that there's no way they can get that many battles done.
Right, exactly.
And that's why they'll tank their rank just to get battles that night and have an actual decent stream. So, I mean, it's definitely, yeah. I mean, it gets eyeballs, I guess, on Pokemon Go GBL, but I think it just could be done a lot better.
Agreed.
I mean, they probably get some like, when there is that spike in GBL viewership, they probably get to go to all the people that are advertising to them, like, oh, see how much viewership we get on these nights. We could do a special event for Samsung going on tonight.
No, I guarantee there's stuff that goes on like that because I mean, we're doing a lot of marketing stuff that is a metric. They'll go in and see how many people were watching said, that the channel on Twitch or on YouTube and see how many people were actually looking at Pokemon Go during that set time. So it's definitely something they're considering of how much reach they're getting by doing Go Battle Nights. And obviously it worked for them in the past. So they've just, hey, let's do more of them.
Alongside the fact that the season is rotating, we do have all three leagues left. I think we've established that none of us are hardcore about the way we play GBL, so it's probably a little silly to ask what anybody's going to be playing this week. But what about with regard to the new mons that were dropped? And we got move sets for all of them. Is there anything that is piquing anybody's fancy in terms of the new mon that dropped for any purpose, just that they're excited to use, that they think is going to be a PvP mainstay that we're going to see either now or once it gets a move change? Is there anybody excited about the phalanx, the crazy
Greedent, chunky squirrel?
Greedent, chunky squirrel. So you're about Greedent?
Yeah, I think that he'll have play. I think that we'll probably see him in some Sylph metas. I don't know if I'll XL one for Ultra Leagues. I don't play enough of that. But I might. I don't know. We'll see how the grind goes this week and next.
You don't see too many things like Greedent, where at least if you look at the PvPoke rankings, which they could get tweaked at any time, it's a very common mon. I can presume it's going to be among the what I would call vermin level spawns moving forward. Maybe not after this week, but after a few weeks, and it ranks number 20 in Ultra League, not Ultra League Premier, and so it's rather unusual to see something of that sort of common nature be able to make it that high? Do you think that that is just a function of, you know, some funky sims, or do we think that Greedent really has something serious in Ultra League Open, something we might even see in factions? And you know, you would think if it ranks well in Ultra, it's got to rank well in factions where you have only so many choices for starters and for legendaries.
It's beating a lot of things you commonly see in Ultra League. It's taking the Swampert, Cresselia, Togekiss. I mean, those are things that you're probably going to encounter at least once per set. Giratina.
So I actually played Greedent today for like a set in GBL. So I was just kidding. I did you play I hopped the last time. I forgot I played this morning, and and I played Greedent. Greedent. I put on my Greedent sweater because you have to play Greedent with the Greedent sweater, and I went against like really negative leads, and this is in Great League too, not even Ultra League. Like I played it in Great League where it's like ranked 130. I was like, I don't care about rankings. I'm playing GBL. We're gonna use something wacky. So, and I thought that Greedent would pair well with initially with Talonflame, because Talonflame covers a lot of the things that Greedent struggles with, maybe like the grass types because of its fast move, and then also like some fighters and other things. So I paired it with a Talonflame and also Azumarill because cover those fighter users. So I use it in the lead, and I came across like every single bad lead, and Greedent won every single game. So so it's very interesting. Like at one point I went against triple counter, and and like Greedent still was able to like pull it out with like against the DD, like because you bait and then you use crunch. So the thing is like insanely spammy, and that's something you don't find a lot in these like newer mons. A lot of these are more like you have like Zacian that's really dependent on using your close combat wisely, like banking it, switching out, or like you have, well, we don't need to talk about double, but like Phalanx like also has a superpower, so like banking that, switching out. A lot of these Pokemon are based on like either huge closing power or like their leads that you commonly switch out of with banked moves. But Greedent's more of like, okay, I can come back later and then get up a whole bunch of energy on you in a later matchup and then bait the heck out of you and crunch you. Like that's Greedent to me, and it feels so satisfying to play, even if it's like rank 130 in Great League. Like it's a lot of fun, and it's like the new Celio is what I would say
The
it is.
new Celio.
Yeah, because it just spams like crazy. You just like you're at a body slam in another like 2.5 seconds after some bullet seeds. And you just keep going. You just keep spamming body slam. So yeah, I feel it'll definitely be a lot nicer in the closed metas. So like factions probably too with Ultra League. That whole meta is probably favored for Greedent. But like it still obviously has its things that it loses to. I just can attest to using it. I just wanted to say that I tried it out, and
Shadow Ethan tried it out, not the Ethan who hasn't played GBL in a long time.
since IHOP, yeah, sorry. I forgot about that. I used it today, and it was a lot of fun.
GBL in his sleep, folks.
I don't.
It's when he's
Okay.
rating too.
Okay, I do have 1,200 battles this season. I had checked. That is way more than I thought I'd ever played. But last season I was at 1,500. So you know, like that's improvements and baby steps.
That's a
you know?
few days off.
Yeah, you know that's like how much I thought I took off. You know, like a couple sets. Frick. I don't play that much, guys. I don't play GBL that much. I just play every day up until I hit whatever. Yeah, there you go. That's my spiel.
All right, so we've covered Greedent. The other one that seems to at least have a little bit of potential is Phalanx. It's got a kind of weird moveset. Anything that has counter obviously has potential. The counter superpower Mega Horn being what is suggested, and obviously Brick Break as the other possible move, not particularly compelling unless you want to use something to spam bait with. And Rock Smash, as we all know, unless we get a change, is a trash move. But what do you guys think about Phalanx, what its potential? And it bears noting that this week Niantic had the situation where they were going to release it into raids, not exclusively, but primarily. And then I guess that just the fact that it's so long and funky kind of played games with their visuals, where I think depending on how you zoomed in, like the phalanx were taking up way too much of the screen or blocking elements or whatever the case may be. It was, you can imagine where something that long and skinny was going to screw up their models, because they don't really have anything else in the game that's got that sort of a body. So they just said, okay, we're going to just release more into the wild, and they're not raid exclusive. I would say that it at least marks one opportunity where Niantic has said, okay, we made a mistake. Let's fix it in a way that doesn't necessarily make us more money immediately. I think it was a pretty easy decision to make, but I will give Niantic a golf clap for at least handling that one properly. So Niantic, thank you for the fact that you gave us those. It has opened up the door for us to get actual PvP IV Phalanx without too much worry, unless you're struggling from overboostedness where you are, to always in cloudy weather or the like. But I know I've gotten several decent ones. Is anybody hyped to use Phalanx? And more importantly, Steve, have you had problems catching your Phalanx? I have trouble tapping on the spot on the Phalanx, where I don't know if I'm supposed to tap on the middle one, on the front one, on the back one. I think it's the middle one, but it takes up so much space.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Where I live, like I've got a pretty decent house spawns, but they all kind of just center around me. So I kind of just tap wherever I am, and then Pokemon keep appearing on my screen, and I can throw balls at them. But I don't really know much about its viability, other than the fact that it has counter, it's got that close combat, it's got Mega Horn, so it's kind of like a Scavalier-ish, kind of, in that regard. But I don't think it looks cool, so I'm kind of looking forward to just using it from that regard. I just like using things that are cool. I'm still waiting to get the XLs to build my Wailmer so I can use that as well. It's just I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the time that it is right. Obviously, as a non GBLer, I don't have the opportunity to just throw it in battles all week and go like, yeah, I'm getting my fix. I have to wait for Sylph to tell me that I'm battling in a meta that it's a good Pokemon in. Yeah, yes, Master Sylph, okay, I can use it now. But I don't know. We'll see. I look forward to it when it comes, and I hope that they don't make the graphics boring at some point to make things work.
Right. True. So Styx, what did you think of the Phalanx change from raid to wild entirely? And are you interested in it at all, or do you think, like Steve, it's going to take seeing it in a specific Sylph context before you're really feeling like building one or using one?
Yeah, I'll probably wait until it's in a Sylph meta. The moveset is so weird, and I feel bad a lot of times for Niantic, just because they're stuck with what's in the main series games and what Pokemon tells them they can put in, because we have the opportunity to send them to Pokemon Home, and so they are kind of stuck with what's in the main series game. So and sometimes the movesets are just trash, and this one's okay. Like I think it has some play, but it's definitely not, ideal. It's not on the same level as like a Scavalier or anything like that. It's another option. So I think it'll be interesting to see if it does stand out in a certain Sylph meta, and see what can really happen with it. It may take some specific bans in that Sylph meta to actually make it where it's the preferred option or one of the top few. But yeah,
Right.
it'll definitely be interesting. I'm interested in it. Greedent looks interesting. Zacian, of course, looks interesting. It's another one of those that it has a weird move set, but at least they gave it a decent fast move.
Now, where do you come down on something like a Zacian? Obviously, it's one thing to objectively say it's good in a meta that it can be used in, and it's another to say you're actually going to bother getting it, because we're in that sort of land right now where not as many people are raiding as much. A lot of people are doing the free to play, and we say, okay, well, Zacian looks good in Master League. Do you bother to build stuff that's specifically for Master League, and how do you deal with that?
I don't really have the dust, so
Right.
like level 40 is kind of my stopping point. Master League Classic is kind of where I stop for most things. So I've done 2 or 3 raids for Zacian at this point, so you can tell I'm not going super hard after it or anything. I'll raid it if one's available, near me, or if I've got a free. I've kind of went free to play after GoFest. I haven't that was the last time I spent any money at all. Was just that pass, and that was like that I really considered for a while before I bought that. I bought it the Friday before GoFest. Like I was really like, I don't even know if I want to play like GoFest. I'm not that excited for it, even though it's just it's $5. But it's like, do I even care to play that much? So it's kind of where I've been at, and I like the design of Zacian. I'm looking forward to Zamazenta as well coming up. Obviously, it doesn't look as promising for anything GBL or anything related to that, but I like its design, so I'll catch it, and eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to transfer it to home, to Pokemon Home at some point. So
I'll also say that just because you brought it up, because I've been actually finally starting to play main series just a little bit, I'm transferring more things into home. And while I agree that obviously Niantic is limited in what they can put in by what's in the main series game and what Pokemon Company says that they will let them have, when you send a Mon from Go into home, it just completely obliterates their moves. It doesn't care what moves it had in Go. It just re-rolls kind of VGC style moves on that side. So I don't think that they aren't limited from a technical standpoint. The only reason that they're limited is just by
they're limited by the company. Yeah, Pokemon
Right.
Company is limiting what they can have.
Right. So it's this week. If I'm not mistaken, this week is Greedent Spotlight Hour. So that would be tomorrow, and probably coming up really soon for Steve. Right? When is your Spotlight Hour?
Yeah, it is in 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. So I think it's worthy of note, once again, that it is fortuitous, but not necessarily planned, that we have Greedent making a debut as a big Ultra League potential player that can be an XL that won't feel gross. It will be great because everyone will have had their opportunity, if they really wanted it, if they really are hardcore about this game, to get their XL Greedents. There won't be anybody out there being, oh, you've already got an XL Greedent, you're a rocker, you're a defitter, you're all that, or just whether you say it or just feel it. I think it's always gross when something new comes on the scene where you're just like, that's not really particularly likely that you achieved that in a legitimate way. But welcome Greedents to the number 20 spot on the Ultra League list as a very, very accessible Mon. If you are interested in it, get your butt out for Spotlight Hour tomorrow / today. If you are in Steve's neck of the woods, are you planning to get serious about Spotlight Hour tomorrow, Alyssa, or is that?
It's going to be the first Spotlight Hour in a really long time that I'm not going out for, and that's only because of what I mentioned to you earlier. So I have plans.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I won't be able to do it. Oh, now I want to cry because.
Oh no.
No, originally I was like, oh, it's whatever. They're spawning everywhere, but I don't really have the time this week to go out and grind catches like I normally could.
Oh,
But now I have FOMO.
They are spawning everywhere though.
Yeah, they are. Maybe
There's
I can
so
stop
much
on my way home somewhere during Spotlight Hour and catch some.
You'll probably be able to get some after the event. So
I just need to be able to like make time to go to Little Rock and catch some this week.
Right. Also double transfer candy. So if you are occupied, Alyssa, at least you can sit still, and remember to transfer all your stuff with a clear head, with less of those little squirrels running around to distract you. Because we all know that squirrel is synonymous with distraction, and nobody needs that when they're trying to figure out what they should transfer.
The unfortunate thing is, I will be driving during that.
Oh,
so,
okay. We're going to just see if we can make this an entire episode of saying things that will make Alyssa feel bad. Is there anything else on that list? Anybody got any hot button issues, ways that we can make Alyssa feel bad? Any pictures of injured raccoons? Anything? No? Okay.
You know what? There is something that I will share with you that I am traumatized from, because I was looking up baking raccoons, like little raccoons doing baking things.
No.
Yeah, you know where this is going already. Yeah.
No.
It went exactly where you thought it was going to go. And baking raccoons
that
was
went
not what I found.
the thing.
I mean, it is what I
went. The animal went exactly where you think that it went.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope that this was like roadkill raccoons and people were trying to conserve. They weren't going hunting for coon
That's a
hunting,
thing
if you will.
in the South. I don't know why people are the way they are here, but that's a thing.
It is definitely a thing.
I like it. But there was a whole raccoon, and you can tell exactly what it was. The little paws were still on there. It was on someone's smoker.
Yeah.
Very cooked. I was not okay for like an hour after I saw that. I was horrified. I just wanted like a raccoon in an apron making some cupcakes or something. That's not what I got.
I don't know if that exists, but
I was hoping it did. I don't know. It seems like a thing.
I think if you attach clip art at the end of the search, it's usually more
Next time.
happy.
Oh, yikes. Okay. Also, this week we got the announcement that the next community day is going to be September 19th, Oshawott. Obviously, Samurott being the evolution, and it is going to, I presume, I don't know if it even said that it'll get Hydro Cannon, obviously, yes.
Well, it's getting 2 moves, isn't it? Well,
Kinda.
an exclusive move and then an unlocked one that's
It's
going to be available.
like Blaziken.
Yeah.
Just like Blaziken.
I was confused. Is it only after Community Day
I
that it
think
gets that move?
so.
The Razor Shell?
Yeah, Razor Shell. I'm wondering how they're gonna deal with Razor Shell too, because did it have something to do with crits in the game? I forgot how that worked.
I thought it was a defense drop.
Or it was defense drop. That's what it was. Yeah.
I think it's a
Something
50% chance for a defense drop in the main series, I think.
So,
The only use I have for those random proccing moves is just to do those self challenges that Steve likes to come up with, because you need that RNG in your favor if you want to complete some of those. But other than that, those tend to be more frustrating to me than anything else. But I am in favor of, as you call it, the Blaziken treatment. I think it's nice when we don't just get the typical starter elemental move. We get something else to kind of make it differentiated. I guess that will probably get news of what that move is going to look like when we see the other move changes potentially. It would seem a little odd if they would put it out separately, but maybe they will. Anybody's favorite water type starter Oshawott, or is this going to be a less beloved community day?
I didn't even know Samurott's name.
Definitely not one of my favorite. I'm usually a water type. Like, that's my starter Pokemon, but yeah, this one's not one of my favorite ones.
I'm a fan of Oshawott, not necessarily the evolutions, though. What's that, Ethan?
Oh, I said I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I love Oshawott, but just Oshawott. His little shell is really cute when he runs with it, like Naruto. But yeah, I don't know. And then I played that one game on the Wii, like Pokemon Park, Poke Park or something, and I was Oshawott in that game. Like, that game's beautiful, but like I got to play as Oshawott, and that was like, or like at least alongside Oshawott, and that was like, it made my gameplay so much better. So yeah, I like Oshawott. But
Oh, they made
Yeah.
a second Poke Park.
Yeah, I played the second
Mm.
one. Yeah, that's what it was. I didn't play the first one, I don't think, but yeah.
I played the first one a
you,
bunch. It was
you,
sick.
you remember Pokey Park? Yeah.
Yeah, on the Wii. It was
Man,
awesome.
If
those
I
games are so expensive right now. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy how much they're like selling for.
I'm sad I sold mine.
Yeah.
Or I gave it back to GameStop. But yeah.
Oh,
I can change the streaming to Poke Park too if you guys want to just change
I'm
gears.
with
It
you.
seems
let's
like
go.
you guys are both fans.
Oh, we like Pokey Park. Yeah. You should
Big
play it. It's a
fans.
good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, every time there's a community day, there's always a community day box. It always has an elite TM. Obviously, the EV1 had one of each, and it's been sort of a point of contention ever since it started to this day. And I think that certainly myself and the Bellsprouts have kind of come full circle from take our money every time you offer us an elite TM, we're going to take it, to do we really want this or not? I still bought the last one. I'm not as sure that I will buy this one. What is the temperature in the room as far as we talked about free to play kind of being a more popular way to go these days for one reason or another? Are you guys intending to buy the next box? I bought the last one officially with just coins I earned. I didn't buy anything, but I bought it with the coins I earned, and I could do the same thing again. But where do you guys think this community day box, which is only going to have an elite fast TM in it, fits into that conversation? It feels like it would be an easy one to skip if you wanted to make a point, if you ask me. But you know, it's certainly everybody's choice. What do you think? What do you think you're going to do, Sticks?
I won't be buying it. Uh, I didn't buy the last one either, even though it had the two. I mean, I've got right now looking at my inventory, I've got 4 fast elite TMs and 5 elite charge TMs. So, I mean, I just am not using them as much as I thought I would. I mean, I've built out a few things that needed them, but then I've just kind of let them sit and just got the rewards, the free ones and the rewards for each season. I think the last time I bought one was maybe I bought one in December when they had it was double that one. That might have been the last time I bought one. So I think just having the one, like, there's no incentive to me to buy it if there's just one of either one. But the two is definitely like, if I needed them, I would probably buy them.
Right. What about you, Steve? Are you planning on getting it? Have you been buying them recently, or are you going to take a pass on this one?
Well, I'm a pretty hardcore free to play sort of guy. I've the only I think there's only I've never put an actual dollar into the game that hasn't come back in some sort of fashion. Like when I think the first time I put money into the game was the first GoFest ticket, and then like I live streamed it and it paid for itself back, and it's like, oh, this is easy. Still kind of free to play, but I've never actually not quite true. I put Google Opinion Rewards into buying coins at the start, which is absolutely amazing. If anyone is on, Android, that is the greatest app of all time, better than Pogo. Shout out to Google Opinion Rewards. But I bought the boxes at the start because I was sitting on a bunch of coins that I wasn't really spending. But as time's gone on, my coin income has vastly decreased. At the moment, it's lockdown too. Around these parts, so I can't get out and put some free stuff in gyms. Well, I could for exercise, but seems like the wrong thing to do. But yeah, I'm not getting any coin income, so I haven't bought boxes in a while. I bought a no, I don't think I've bought one in a while. I won't be buying this one. I think I have, like, how many coins have I got? I've got 530 coins, which is not quite enough. If I had enough coins, I would have bought the last one because it was the double. But kind of like Sticks, I've got a little bit of a stockpile. I'm not using them. If it was infinite, then I would be building all sorts of, like, I would be basically building every legacy mon there is, and I would
Right.
still like to build every legacy mon there is. But No Fun Pain Done, who was at least in the chat earlier, was talking about the fact that there are new legacy moves being introduced faster than the actual elite TMs are being introduced. So it's kind of like impossible to keep up with if you're not playing every event, getting every exclusive move. I've missed some of the. I missed Gust on Pidgeot. I just completely missed it. I played Flying Cup and I just forgot about the you have to evolve Pidgeot thing. And by the way, side complaint, that is the worst part about living here, is that you guys all get reminders all over Twitter about, oh, don't forget to do this by the end of the event. And by the time they come around, it's already been 8 hours since mine ended. And it sucks. It is the worst. I need more Australian Twitter so they can all tell me that I can't be forgetting things for events, so I don't miss out even though I was playing. But the question, no, I'm not buying the box.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to fiddle with my audio over here because I'm told I still sound like I'm in a tunnel like last week. So we shall see. I'm gonna try and ignore it, but if anything is weird, let me know. Yeah. How are you guys handling it, Alyssa? You're probably you've bought most of them recently, right? But are you
no,
you're not?
I've been holding
You've stopped
off.
buying them.
I haven't bought them in a couple months or a few months because I've had so many elite TMs that I've been hanging on to. It just seems silly to buy them when I'm not using them. Like I have like 8 of one and 9 of another. So I don't know. I just feel no need to buy them if the only good thing in them is the TM. And I just don't need it.
And I assume Ethan doesn't. There's no likelihood you're buying this, right? You're out hardcore, Ethan, and you're not gonna. You wouldn't have a chance even if you had gyms, but you're not buying this, right? Although you might, because last time you bought Pokeballs. He's got a face.
He doesn't
folks.
want to talk about it.
He doesn't want to talk
I'm not
about
gonna
it.
answer that.
He's not going to answer it.
I'm resorting to keeping my
Plead the
answers. Yeah, I'm pleading the fifth on this one. This is yeah. I don't know actually. I mean, it really does. I usually don't buy. I actually haven't bought the community box for a while, like before this last one. It was a while before I bought this last one. So, the only reason I bought the last one was to get more balls, honestly, and because the TMs were in there as well, it was like even more of an incentive. But like I ran out of balls so fast, it was so ridiculous. We all know how that EV Community Day went. I mean, if you were playing the entirety of it, so yeah, it's yeah, tuna. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think I'm like really have plans to buy it, but we'll see.
No promises.
It really depends on September 1st for me. And I don't think there's going to be anything magical that necessarily happens on September 1st. I'm just waiting like everyone else patiently for it. I don't know why, but we're all just waiting. So hopefully they do something and they're more transparent. They don't even have to do anything. They just need to be more talky.
More talk.
I just would like some communication. That's all. Yeah.
Obviously, we know that the infamous, I don't even know what we call it, the input session occurred with the task force. I don't even know exactly what this looked like. I know that J.R. Honda, our guest from last week, posted his message that he read during the meeting. Was anybody else aware of anyone else that put their specific input or anything relating to that meeting on social media or elsewhere? Or was he the only one that people saw put something out there?
That's the only one I remember seeing. I know Ken had talked about it beforehand, and I saw a lot of people talking about it beforehand, but I didn't see a whole lot after the fact.
Which
Right.
kind of is either very scary or a good sign that they're keeping it a secret.
Well, didn't they all sign NDAs?
Oh,
So
they
they're
might
probably
have
just afraid
signed.
to step over the line of what they're allowed to talk about.
They might have signed NDAs. I was thinking that some of them didn't, but
Surely
that
they make them all do it.
yeah.
I would assume most of them are under NDAs anyways, because they're all
That's
on
the only reason that they would
creator
be.
team anyways. So
Yeah. Okay.
so that may be why we didn't see anything.
Yeah. So
Oh, so how is everybody kind of treating this period of time? I know that you say we're all kind of quote holding our breath until September 1st, as you say, and I don't think any of us really know exactly what to expect, but I think we all have our expectations tempered. Um, what are you treating this sort of waiting period as, Steve, in terms of like your approach to the game? Are there any things that you are holding off on, either as a player or a content creator, kind of waiting for this uncertain period to pass and see what comes up? Or are you kind of just treating it like, well, I've just got to do things as usual and just keep pushing forward, and whatever, well, I'll deal with it when it comes?
So I think for the most part, again, I'm not a big hardcore player of this game, spending a lot more hours on the content side. But I on that like hashtag boycott Niantic Day, I did kind of decide not really to boycott, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, I won't open it today. And then I didn't open it the next day, and then I think I opened it the day after that. But it wasn't like an intentional boycott. It was just kind of like, I don't really need to do anything. I don't have any self battles to have to do. I don't have to record anything, or I don't need to open gifts or whatever, because that's just, I'd get a little bit of stardust, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things. But I I haven't actually rated whatever the dude is that's around at the moment. I haven't got one yet. I've been collecting the free remote passes, and I've been using them, but that's kind of it in that regard. I'll hope to get one of them eventually. I've missed a few legendaries over the last few years. Every now and then, I'll just go like, oh, kind of never got out to get that one. I think COVID really killed the whole sort of local raiding scene. Like people stopped going. Like I've got gyms all around me, but people just kind of stopped doing it now that remote passes everything. But I don't know. I'm just kind of chugging along. I guess the fact that it isn't like a silver season, and that's kind of sort of my big. That's what I'm making content for most of the time. It's like I'm still doing stuff. Like I'm still making I did the Continentals things with everyone. Obviously did the faction stream a few hours ago, so they'll keep up. Worlds is in a little bit, and they announced that I'm hosting the finals, which I'm not sure what it means yet, but we'll find out together, I suppose. Um, I don't know. I'll keep chugging along. Definitely not doing as much as I used to, but kind of not doing anything special as like a protest or anything. Just kind of there's not stuff that I'm interested in doing.
Right. So, from your perspective, I guess it maybe came at a good time that there's this uncertainty because you don't have any decisions kind of on your mind. What about you, Sticks? Are you holding your breath at all? Are you holding off on any projects, or or putting less than full effort into it just because you don't know what the future of the game is, or are you just kind of pushing forward like normal?
My expectations of what Niantic are going to do are pretty low, just based off what they've done in the past, like with GBL stuff and everything else. Kind of, they sometimes they'll say stuff and then they don't necessarily follow through with it. And so, I mean, for me, I'm just kind of playing the game, you know, when I feel like it, when I have time to, and that's why I've been concentrating a lot more on the Sylph stuff. I think that's a lot to me. It's a lot more exciting. I'm enjoying it. Whereas I was doing GBL stuff, and I was just like, I would, create a team, and hopefully it would do well, and I didn't lag out, or my opponent didn't lag out, or that kind of stuff for the content, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, I'm not having fun, and I just feel like I'm not producing very good content at this point. So I just kind of stopped for a while. Like I was like, there's no point in me just putting out a video of me that a team that, and I just don't feel passionate about it. So that's why whenever factions came around, I was like, oh, this looks pretty interesting. Let me figure out, what we can do to kind of get some excitement around this, because I'm excited about it. I know there's other people that are excited about it. So that's it may not get as much views or whatever, but it's a lot more fun for me to do it. And if I enjoy doing it, it's a lot easier for me to create the content and put the hours of work into a video.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So, do you, is there one wish that you have on the faction side in terms of what you would like to see happen this season? Just from a general standpoint, not who's going to win or whatever. What would you like to see as sort of the big thing that would satisfy you? Are you excited about promotion to Diamond? Are you excited more about the whoever wins it? Are you excited about your team's individual performance? Where are your sights set most?
Mine, I definitely like. I want our team to do well, but at the end of the day, we're all in it to have fun, everything like that, and it's just our community kind of coming together and playing, having fun. So to me, that part's it's great. I love that part. But to me, I'm actually looking forward to the relegation matches and the promotion matches that are going to be the eighth week. I feel like that's where it's going to be. There's going to be a lot more attention on that specific week because, there's something at stake at that point. And so, like right now, we're just kind of getting into this where people are battling, and we're going to kind of see where everybody shakes out. And so, whoever's in, the sixth spot of diamond tier is going to have to battle the third spot of platinum tier to see if they'll stay in diamond or who will move up and down. So that'll be really interesting. I think it's tough for North America because there are so many teams. Like there's over 30 teams in open tier, and so it makes it very very unlikely that any team is going to move up. There's only 3 spots that are going to move up into bronze tier, so it's going to be tough for those teams. And so our team may not move up, and the vast 90% of the teams aren't going to move up from open tier. So it's going to be tough in that regard to keep everybody motivated and everything. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, and we're having fun as a team. So.
And so, Steve, what do you think in terms of what we're going to see moving forward? Do you think we're going to see more teams doing the kind of stuff you're talking about with the wing attack, like broadcasting their own battles? Do you think that people are going to shy away from that because they still want to kind of keep their cards close to the vest? Or do you think that it's just going to be a handful of creators like yourself, Sticks and MJ and such that are making this content? Or what are you thinking for this first season?
I think that Sylph would certainly like more people to kind of be making their own content. I think they'd really like to be encouraging wing attacking the like a little bit more. I think they could probably do like a more of a job to sort of promote that sort of stuff. Might encourage more people to kind of get involved. Like they do have a channel in the Discord, but it's like it's post your own thing. It's like I don't know self advertising sort of stuff. But I think that there's definitely going to be a little bit more content coming on this season than there was in like the pre-seasons. Like I know King has jumped in. He's been making some factions videos. He said that he was going to make a faction for this season, but I didn't actually check whether he's actually gone ahead and done that or if he's like managing a team or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's got a team on his behalf. Not sure, but I know that he said that he's getting more involved with the factions content sort of stuff. And there's some other content creators that I think are following suit, but for the most part, I would feel like it's going to be pretty much I guess a handful of content creators that kind of make stuff and then just kind of keeps going, becomes the status quo. Maybe, the hope is obviously that this thing balloons and there's all sorts of teams. I know the Chicago Stars, even before this stream that I did today, they've been doing their own stream every week of their own battles, which I somehow completely missed. Which again is maybe that case of maybe Sylph could be doing some more promotion of that sort of stuff, because that would be kind of really cool. Maybe I just need to be following more people and staying more attached to the social media.
Yeah, I didn't know they had one either.
Yeah, well, they've been doing it every week, and I completely missed it, and it's awesome. And everyone should check it out. I think they call it Chicago with the Stars, because they're the Chicago Stars, something like that. But it's an awesome little thing, and it took approaching them to be like, hey, want to be on stream to actually find out about it. So that would be nice, and I don't know. Maybe if with a little bit more promotion, it might happen a bit more. But I'm not overly optimistic that it's going to be this big thing. But we'll see. Time will tell, I guess.
All right. Let's see. What else did we have going on? I'm not as good with the outline this week. I know we got pushed to 217.1, so we got some minor releases there. I was personally glad to see that we can actually go back to submitting Pokestops. I'm told that apparently they still have not 100% resolved the issue where submitting a Pokestop is causing the app to crash. So we shall see whether that has a Pidgeot situation where we are have that taken away again anytime soon. That was definitely something I was missing. There were a couple times recently where like the only way that I could get joy from playing this game was to like be outside and try and like do that sort of stuff where I'm just like find a new place to submit, find a place that needs to be mapped, hope that like somehow whatever I'm doing is actually like productive moving forward. But unfortunately that was broken as well. So definitely hoping that that is fixed. Anybody how is everybody doing in terms of the event that we've got going on? We haven't had a check from Alyssa specifically, who always seems to do well in terms of the shinies on these events. Have you managed to score yourself any of the things that you were looking at? I know that we weren't sure how much you were going to spend last week. Do you want to report to the class where you're at?
It's not like the heavy raid week yet, so I don't feel like I have put in the amount of money I decided I probably would wind up doing. I did throw money at the game for incubators after I said I wouldn't, but I got a shiny Farfetch'd, and that's pretty cool. Maybe Niantic will like smile upon me after punishing me with all of the Heracross raids and not giving me a shiny after 200 of them. You'd think like this is where I would just not give them any more money, but here we are. So I'm doing okay. Check in next week after I've put a whole paycheck in the game.
And I know that Ethan has been playing a lot less. He's been doing a few raids, and we keep getting reports from Yusei saying to tell Ethan to stop spending. So it seems like there's still a few raids going on in the background. Where are you at with your shiny attempts and how much money or raids you are or not doing in this game?
I may or may not be $30 deep into Zacian.
Oh.
I only raid Zacian though. Like my biggest thing with this game is I don't hatch eggs. Like I don't care about the shinies really. If I'm gonna go for like one of the tier 3 raids, I'll go for like a Stunfisk with a free pass. But like, yeah, I mainly do legendary raids. It's like what I enjoy doing, and so like I've never had an issue like doing them. But yeah, Zacian is really good. So it's like this weird thing of like I don't really want to spend this right now, but Zacian is really good. So I know I'm gonna get the XLs over time, but I could get a head start and maybe get a hundo for Master Classic. So I don't know. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So that's yeah. I don't.
Why are we like this? Like, why?
I don't know. I want to use Zacian. I really do. Because honestly, I haven't touched. This is like the main reason why I'm like so keen on doing Master League. I have not touched Master League since preseason, GBL, and I haven't done any Master League, and I really want to do Master League. Like Master League is like one of my favorite leagues out of all of them. Besides like Great League, like I really want to do Master League. It's not that I don't want to do Master League. I don't like it. I like using big Pokemon, like the heavy hitters, the legendaries.
Chunky boys.
I don't have.
You like using an XL Phalanx, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And no, I like using XL Surfetch. I want to do that for Master Premier, but I'm not gonna wail on that. But But anyways, like I've been building up my roster, and hopefully one day I'll be able to like get enough practice and then actually try it out. Because I've been holding off on Master League because I don't want to feel like I'm disadvantaged in any way. So I just don't have Togekiss or Melmetal, and so that for years has been like tormenting me. So I really need to go after Melmetal. I was hearing that you also don't have one, Steve, on the stream with Speedius. Like you were both talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't have one.
Yeah,
Relatable.
very
But
sad.
yeah,
But
I mean,
we'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there eventually. Like I think I've given out like 8 hundos now from my boxes to people, and it's always like, okay, you get a hundo, but I just get like 96s. All right, cool. So yeah, but yeah, one day I'm coming Master League. So
And you better watch out.
yeah,
The
I
thing
don't know.
that with Master League that always strikes me though is just that, especially if we're talking non-classic, but now in factions we're talking open,
Mhm.
is that if you want to take part, not only do you have to like wail on the game, but you also have to be ready to like you have to be agile. Like you have to be able to move as the meta moves, and so that
Mhm.
could potentially result in yet another thing you have to spend on. And it could also mean that the thing that you spent on to be prepared is completely irrelevant by the time you get to this day that you actually decide you're going to play it. And for that reason, I have to ask the two guests, Sticks first, what do you think that Sylph's relationship moving forward is going to be like with our Big Brother leagues, the Ultra League and the Master League, because of kind of the money component and that they brought into the game. We obviously have it in factions, and every team kind of has to have somebody on the team that's comfortable with that dynamic, but it's definitely the least sylphy kind of feel to it, and I can't really see where they could make closed metas in like a master league that would actually not just be filled with feels bad in terms of like how much money it would cost to actually get invested. So what do you think, Sticks? Do you think we'll ever see the day where people from our sort of camp point of view can actually say we feel good about Ultra League and Master League in the way that we've always been more comfortable with Great League?
I don't know. For me, Ultra League, I felt pretty good about Ultra League prior to XLs being introduced. I felt like I had a pretty good grasp, and it was actually a fairly decent meta if we're just talking about GBL. And I think I had a few things for Master League, and I've kind of just focused on Master League Classic basically in that. As far as the factions go, I felt like they did a pretty good job of balancing it. Just because you're limited to one legendary in a Master League, and that kind of stuff, and one starter, and those kind of things balance it out. I feel like nicely, but it definitely those faction team members. I mean, it's a discussion quite a bit in our faction just to, do they need to do a bunch of raids, and do they need like one of our guys was trying to build. I'm trying to remember what he was trying to build now, and it was for Master League. And he's like, every single raid, if you guys get one, tag me. I need it. And so that's what we did for, it might have been Togetic when it was out in raids. And so we were just sending him every single one that we got. We would just tag him and send it to him, and just doing that. And so it definitely your Master League and your Ultra League specialists definitely are people that need to play the game a lot, and definitely need to stay on top of what's in raids or what's spawning. Right now they need to be focusing on Greedent. They need to be focusing on those type of things that are going to shift the meta, and at least either be ready for it, know how to counter it, or be raiding or catching a whole bunch of things to stay relevant in those leagues. It's definitely tough, and they're going to be the ones that need to spend the most hours playing the game, not just preparing for metas. So
And what about you, Steve? Do you think that the balance that we've got right now is correct, and that we're unlikely to see much change, or do you think that there's things that can or likely would be done to kind of adjust Sylph's connection to these expensive hardcore leagues?
I saw Emzo mention it earlier in chat about the idea of like, now that we've got sort of factions and no one's forced to take on any particular meta, there is room to potentially have like an Ultra League meta that appears. And then like, you don't have to force everyone to do it. Only like the super Ultra Leaguers can go ahead and do it. But that Kratos is also in chat again, that head of the meta team, who is obviously involved in all of that. And he said that they're open to it, but it's kind of whether it's a thing that's wanted or not. I don't know if there's enough. Like, I think it would be wrong to force all of us people who have become acquainted to Great League stuff and only have like, don't really have Ultra stuff built or whatnot. I think it would be wrong to force them to kind of attack some Master League meta. I don't even know how you start to build a Master League meta. Like, I, I barely understand the darn thing. So it's hard to kind of imagine a world that's any different. Like, I like the idea that they've reduced it to one legendary. I saw some feedback in the chat in the stream earlier that people might like to see two legendaries come in, and I can definitely see a reason for that to get a bit more variety going on. But I don't know if I feel like it's just too restricted to be able to really have some sort of condensed meta. Like, you can only use grass, fire, and water types in the Master League, and it's like, oh well, heck, now I need to like level 50 of Venusaur that I've never done before or whatever, and it's because it's become this uber good mon, and that's like a huge dust investment. Like, I don't know if anything like that has ever really appeared in a like Great League Sylph sort of meta, except for potentially like, I know Continentals, there was a bit of hoo-ha around the fact that Alolan Grimer was really good, and it's obviously a very expensive Pokemon because you have to get it up to level 50 or whatnot. I think actually you don't have to get up to level 50, but obviously if you want the best IVs because you're taking on Continentals, you would like a level 51. So it's a very expensive sort of resource sink, and it was like Skuntank did the same job, but it was more points and that sort of thing. I think I would kind of like the idea of an Ultra League meta appearing in factions. I feel like it's the best spot for it to appear, just because again, you aren't forcing people to do it. People can do it if they want to do it, but then you need someone to do it. So it's like, do you replace the Ultra League specialist spot with an Ultra League meta, and then you have to make this person who is presumably selected the league because they were like, I know a lot of Great League specialists around are kind of doing Great League because they don't really like condensed meta stuff, and they can kind of just do free, like just team 6 pick 3. If you do it with Ultra League, maybe you're attacking the wrong audience sort of thing, and you're forcing them to build extra things. Maybe they're only doing Ultra Leagues that have these 6 Pokemon that are good and happy, and now you're forcing them like, oh, if you want to keep competing, you're going to have to build another 5 to round out your team. It's like, oh well, heck, that's going to cost me 700,000 dust. Oh, I don't know if I really want to do that. Maybe I can skip this week or something, and we can get someone else in to do the Ultra League meta. So as much as I would like an Ultra League meta to appear, I think it would be a step in a good direction. I don't know how you can reasonably do that in a way that seems fair to everyone and isn't disadvantaging any particular factions.
I think it'd be more likely, it wouldn't be like a type necessarily. I think they could do like a ban list, basically. Something like GBL did, but not as like crazy as GBL went with the bans this last time. Because banning 20 Pokemon in Ultra League was terrible. That was a terrible decision on their part to ban that many. And just the Pokemon, I know they did it by usage, and so that's why they banned certain ones. So it was just a lot to ban in Ultra League.
I mean, I think Sylph did a similar thing with the Continentals prelims meta. They did some sort of banning the most used Pokemon in the Great League specialist role in factions. I'm not sure how many is banned. I'll kind of hunt that down now, how many they actually banned. But it kind of means that they also maybe potentially open to the same sort of dealio in that regard if they wanted to make something special. Because other than banning a bunch of popular picks, like, how I don't really know how else you can do it unless you're banning less picks, because you can't really go like, all right, we're doing Ultra League, but I'm gonna ban Let's ban this random Pokemon that some people are using, but not many people are using, and this one and this one and this one, as opposed to just the best. So it actually kind of shakes up the meta, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
Okay, Sylph is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I could have miscounted bans on that Open Great League Worlds prelims thingy. Kind of random
Yeah.
number.
Which that makes sense though to do it in Great League because there's a lot more
Sure.
options. So yeah, and that's I think and Sylph's mission has always kind of been to get more people in and playing. And so I think that's why a lot of times they will ban things that are heavy in XL and stuff like that, at least for the open things for Sylph Cups, normal Sylph Cups. So but for Continentals, you're talking about the top tier battlers. They, you know, they need more of a challenge, and they probably have the resources to compete with more bands. So.
Yeah. Now, PvPSteve, you are the man who's got your hand in just about everything. You made reference to the fact that you will be hosting the Sylph Worlds. Is there anything that you can tell us? I know you said you don't know what that means yet. Is there anything you can tell us about what we should expect, what you're looking forward to, and what you don't know yet, or just tease us with anything? Or are you sworn to secrecy at this point? What's the situation?
I really don't know much at all. Like I know nothing. I didn't know anything about the metas before they were released publicly. I didn't know about the competitors before it was all released publicly. I don't know how the stream. I don't know who else is going to be involved with the stream. Uh, I don't really know much at this point, other than they were kind of like, so you free at this time, and I was like, well, I would normally be asleep, but yes, I happen to be free at said time. Um, world seems important enough to wake up for. So yeah, I can be around, and that's about all I know at this stage. I actually, in saying that, I do know a little bit more about World's prelims in terms of the content that's going to be coming around, but that has not. That's a lips are sealed at this point on that one. But it's obviously not as exciting as the World Finals. That's the big thing that we're all would have been waiting for if the momentum wasn't as stifled. I guess it's the big crescendo.
Right. Let's hope that we can get some momentum back before then, and we all know that there's no one we'd rather see more on that stage than you, Steve. So I'm sure you'll bring all the hype that you possibly can. And speaking of things that you've at least in the past had your hands in, I'm assuming you have your hands in the antimatter stuff going on this weekend. I think
Sunday.
right Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's the Opera GX Cup, which we'd gone back and forth about on this stream before. It was confusing to me, and then it was explained to me that this is in fact the Opera browser that I know from many, many years ago, except this is a specific gaming browser, the Opera GX browser. What can you tell us about that? You're going to be, I presume, shoutcasting or hosting in some capacity there?
So there actually isn't a stream this time around. So I'm learning a lot of things about sort of the sort of esports world, how all the other games sort of work. And basically the deal is there needs to be like, so money gets put up by companies to fund obviously Opera's putting up this $1,000 for the tournament, which may increase, TBD. But there isn't like a production budget, so they're not like doing a stream. Well, what I do intend to do is as assuming they record, is I'll do a cast of the battles after the fact, because it seems like a good thing to sort of hype up in that regard. So I'd like to be doing that, but I know there is that chance that I don't know the numbers at this point. I haven't been given an update, but there was that chance if enough people downloaded the Opera browser through the antimatter link, there was a chance that the Opera prize pool was going to increase from $1,000, and all of this extra money was going to go towards the prize pool as opposed to adding on extra bits like doing a stream or whatnot. So, I mean, I don't know what the specific metric was that needed to be hit or where we're up to or whatnot, but I mean, maybe it'll be more than $1,000. So I'm actually going to be competing this time around. It is like another early morning wake up for me, but I think it starts at 3 a.m. my time. But I was like, support the antimatter thing, get some extra numbers in there. Last I checked, it was up to like 370 or so out of the 512 player limit. So it's looking like it's gonna be interesting. And there's no Facebook sign up this time, which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I noted that the fact that it is on challengermode.com. I can't remember if it was you in chat correcting me last time, Steve, or whether it was somebody else. It might have been Horror that was telling me that this time it's not Facebook, but there's not really a determination moving forward whether it'll be a relationship with Facebook or not. It's just kind of a
There's a few different relationships kind of in the wings. So I think there will probably be more Facebook events going forward. I think that's likely, but then there'll also be non-Facebook events at the same time. And it's just kind of going to be a case of who's putting up the prize pool. So I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't guess that Facebook is dead, as much as no one has exactly said that, oh yeah, I love using Facebook and I love the fact that we cannot yet sign up on mobile despite us playing a mobile game. No one loves that bit, but it's a bit of a, hey, if they're going to throw $1,000 at the Pokemon Go community for some people doing some good battling, then yeah, I'm not going to poop them down. Sounds good.
Do you have that link that you were talking about? Because I don't think I even remember seeing that link regarding the Opera browser. I actually intended to try it just for my own purposes because it seems like it has some interesting tools in terms of CPU and RAM throttling for a browser generally.
Yeah. A little bit of extra tidbit is that you don't actually need to install the browser. You can just hit the download button and it will do the same job. So you can download the install file and then just put it straight into the trash. Okay, so I think, okay, so it's
Not that Steve is encouraging this behavior or
No.
would have ever done that himself. He would never.
I would never have done that. Don't look at my Chrome browser. I'm using, the link is go.cmode.gg/aints. I'll post that in the Twitch chat. Oh no, I won't be able to. I'll DM you, or I'll post it in the Bellsprouts. I'll post it in the Bellsprouts chat. I've picked like 4 different places I'm going to post it in the last 20 seconds. Boop. Oh no, it Twitter linked it. Ooh, forgot that it does that. Heckin' Twitter short link. That's the one. I think that link. Yeah, and then there's a download button in the top right, and you just have to click that link, and then magic. Oh wait, I've been given permission to post the link for. Oh no, he's got it.
Ethan beat you to it. We tried, but Ethan beat you to it. All right. Well, I will, at a minimum, download that just so I'm counted. But I actually anticipate trying it. For the record, Jiggly will try it, and we'll see how that goes. How does someone of your ilk, Styx, feel about these sort of tournaments that are obviously not GBL? They are more of a separate thing. It brings some attention potentially to the community and some excitement to some, but it's obviously not it's not self-based. In this case, I think it's open, right? It's open Great League, but no Pidgeot, regardless of what Niantic might do this time around. So how do you feel about that?
Mythicals.
No legendaries, mythicals. Okay, and I heard Styx was excited that there was no Facebook sign up. So I'm assuming you at least got far enough last time to realize that was the case and that you were put off by that. Have you participated in any of them?
I looked at the last one. Was it Samsung, that event? And then there was some other ones that you guys have done. And it's just been a matter of the time that it happens sometimes, that I'm not available to do it during that time. Or that Samsung event, I was super confused of what the actual meta was or what the actual rules were. And I read through the rules and tried to figure it out. And I just felt like, I don't know who put it together or who was organizing it, but I felt like they didn't have a solid connection with what the rules needed to be. And so it put me off in that regard. And then talking to a couple of our local guys tried to participate, and they couldn't figure out where to register teams and do it. There was a lot of parts that, very early, I felt like it was very early, like Sylph stuff, like trying to figure out how to do Sylph. And Sylph has come so far and just knows how to do it now and how to do remote tournaments now because we've been doing it for so long that these large remote tournaments, there's a reason Sylph puts a limit on them of how large they could be, because coordinating that many people and that many tags between people is very difficult. And we've seen that even in factions, with factions trying to figure out where people are, what Discord and all that stuff. So it's something I'm definitely very happy to see these events happening and sponsors actually putting money behind it, because it tells me there's at least enough eyeballs on it that they're saying, from a marketing standpoint, they're saying, hey, we can get, there's this niche community here that we can actually get, some eyeballs on our product and get people to download our app or browser and try it out. So that's definitely a good sign for the health of it. I know there was an event scheduled that got canceled, because I've seen several content creators posting their swag that they got for the event, even though it was canceled, and it was because of the protest. So there was definitely something that was planned that got canceled. So, but I definitely think we're moving in that direction, and I think Niantic just needs to get their, communication together and, I don't want to say appease the community. That's not really the right word, but definitely, get us moving back in a positive direction. I felt like we've seen some positive things from Niantic. We saw the World Championships a couple years ago in person when King and Pokey AK went in the finals, and we also saw the problems that existed in that as well. And I think that's, to me, I think that showed Pokemon how much of a community there was, because the viewership numbers on that stream versus some of the other things that have, like TCG and VCG, we were pulling numbers similar to VGC at that event. And so to me, that showed them there was some validity. There was enough of a community there. We've seen it added the GBL stuff for Play Pokemon, which would actually be a pretty big deal if Pokemon was actually going to sanction tournaments. So there's definitely some positive things. It's just a matter of, getting over what's going on right now and getting a more positive direction for the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know how much more is going on. If there are other things people are aware of that we haven't touched on, that is great. But one thing I would be curious to get an answer to from everybody, but especially the guests, is moving forward, if we try to give ourselves an objective sort of metric that's more than just Niantic try to communicate better, something between communicate and do specifically this, is there anything that you will be looking to, Steve, that you think will sort of be an indicator of the likely health of this game moving forward in this community? Because it feels to me like it's not just like what one person's opinion is. It feels like there are certain indicators where it's like, well, I may not care if they do this, but if they don't do it, then we're not going to have nearly the size, the scope of community that we have, or that we're going to want to do anything of a grand scale or the like. Do you have anything particular that you're looking for besides them communicating?
The way I see it, there isn't so much like an objective mark to hit. I mean, if there was, then it would be, I guess, easy. And I was going to say easy enough for 90 to just do it, but they've missed the ball on a few of those things in recent times. But I think it's just kind of in general an amalgamation of sort of everything, in the sense that, like, the fact that the Ultra Unlock was very heavily raids and egg exclusive, so that people were like, oh, now we just, we did all these Go Fest challenges so that we just have to pay for a bunch of stuff. Thanks, Niantic. And it's, that, and then the Pokestop distance, and then the lack of communication, all of that, just, I think it just sort of adds up. And if, I don't know, maybe if September 1st comes around and suddenly they change completely, they become a completely different entity, the Pokemon company releases them from whatever hold they have on them, and they're suddenly allowed to be free, and that was all they were being held back from being brilliant. So I guess at the end of the day, it's more of just a general, they have to do better in, like, sort of everything, in terms of making events that not everything is behind paywalls, and not trying to scalp every single dollar out of people that they can, and actually communicating with the community, not just doing things surprise and then telling us about it later, not doing the sneaky little stardust reduction in GBL while telling us that it was increased so that we would get excited about getting less dust, all of that sort of sneaky little stuff that just less of that. Just stop doing those things. That'd be cool. But I mean, as long as Sylph keeps doing their thing, I'll probably still be around. So I'm not really the guy they're serving.
Anything for you, Sticks? Anything that you think is going to be a significant indicator of whether or not, whether it's the Sylph community or the greater PvP community is healthy or even exists in a few months from Niantic?
I mean, I definitely think, I think back to when GBL first kind of started, and they did a lot of behind the scenes videos, like with people at Niantic, like battling each other, and just kind of the fun they were having in those videos. And I think that's something we're missing. We kind of just have, you know, the Twitter account that blasts stuff out there, but there's no like personality behind it. I follow a lot of the Niantic employees just on their personal accounts, and it would just be nice to see more personality from Niantic, I guess, is one thing I would like to see. That's not necessarily like, I just feel like there's not that connection right now. And that's part of communicating, but actually like seeing the people that are working behind the game. Because I feel like it's easy to kind of be, you know, keyboard warrior and just blast them like nobody cares about this game. But if you follow their personal accounts, you know that a lot of them care deeply about the game and about the community. So that would be one thing. I also think it's weird to me, and it's been weird to me the whole time, that they don't release hatch rates and also shiny rates for event Pokemon specifically, and raids and stuff like that. And I think that is something that I hope the task force told them, hey, you guys need to be doing this. It's weird to me that they can, I think there must be some loophole they're getting around releasing those rates, because I've played a lot of other games and they'll tell you like you have a 1 in 500 chance of getting this, you know, legendary, you know, whatever for that game. And so it's weird to me that they don't have that in there. And I definitely think another indicator would probably be just the stuff from Pokemon themselves, the parent company, because they at the end of the day do control a lot of what Niantic is doing. We can see that from other Niantic properties that they're doing, and just how those games are different with like chat features and different things like that. And Pokemon is definitely a very conservative company when it comes to the game and what they want people doing, and so that's part of it. And so I would like to see just a lot. I mean, it comes down to communication at the end of the day, but I would like to see just Pokemon embracing Pokemon Go a lot more. I think one thing that was kind of cool was when all the Pokemon properties were doing the Bidoof Day. It was kind of just a silly thing, but to me, it was actually kind of a fun event. And, you know, it was just silly. And all this stuff they did on social media that day was just kind of a fun thing to do across the brands. And Pokemon Go definitely has brought so much added value to Pokemon, the brand itself, that it would just be nice to be recognized. I mean, we just celebrated the 5-year anniversary of Pokemon Go, and I kind of felt like the unlocks and everything we got were kind of just meh. Like there wasn't like anything like amazing that I thought, oh, this is awesome. Like, yeah, we're celebrating 5 years of Pokemon Go. Like that should have been a big deal. And I know COVID probably played into that some, but I feel like there should have just been a lot more behind that.
Yeah, I've said the same thing many times on stream as far as the the shiny rates and especially the hatch rates, that I feel like they really are treading on some thin ice there. The fact that they've operated in the way that they do so far, excuse me, and that they don't at least somewhere buried in a 5 menus deep in a help menu say this is at least what the hatch rate corresponds to when you see 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs. Like, I appreciate the fact that Pokemon Company doesn't want it to be reduced to a numerical thing. They want it to have some sort of mystique and happenstance to it. They want it to feel magical. But I think that we are quickly moving toward a day where certainly the EU and the US are not going to put up with that. And was it last week? I think that we talked about that there's now information in the game where they actually check to see if you're an EU resident for particular purposes, which indicates that they may be considering doing things specifically for certain localities in terms of how they treat these things. Hopefully, they'll just make a universal change, and it'll be a situation where, kind of like when California makes an emission standard change, that like essentially the whole world has to adjust because they want to be able to sell cars in California. But I don't know whether our laws have truly caught up. I certainly hope someone will champion the cause of holding Niantic accountable to disclosing that sort of thing. It doesn't feel good for the hatches. I know it doesn't feel good for Alyssa. She's been talking in the chat about the fact she didn't get the Heracross when she went all in trying to get one. And if nothing else, you just have to at least know that you got the bad side of the luck instead of just feeling like something could be turned off. Something, the luck is still something you don't understand. There should be some numbers associated with that somewhere so that this game we play can be a lot less casino-like, I suppose. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who's been rating in. I'm not sure how much we have left to go through at this point. I've really enjoyed having our guests here this week, and I appreciate them coming on because I think that they're two great voices, just generally, but especially with regard to factions. On a more broad note, what is everybody kind of feeling, thinking, expecting we're going to see in terms of a game shift after the Ultra Unlock? I know a lot of that's probably tied up in this whole idea of Niantic saving face, the September 1st date, all of that. But we've alluded to the fact that I think that the Ultra Unlocks were a lot more underwhelming than they have been in the past, and they really did feel like an unlocking a chance to spend more money. So what do you guys think things might look like when we get back to more of a normal event rotation than what they are calling these Ultra Unlocks? What sort of things on the horizon do you think we might see?
More of this.
You think it's just gonna like that basically they're calling this an Ultra Unlock, but that it's what everything is looking like these days? It's just a label they slapped on it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's kind of been my feeling through it. It's kind of been like the only thing that's like sort of ultra about is like there were regionals that were around. That was kind of cool, but you could only raid them, so that was a little less cool. And then there was also like Unknown was around, but it's a letter that was also around like the last Ultra Unlock, and I think it might have even been around the Ultra Unlock before that. So it's like, okay, you're not really giving people an opportunity to get extra stuff here. The most, assuming most people have been playing like the whole time, they've probably got this one already. They're not really getting much new out of this stuff. There's a bunch of, some new Pokemon came out this week, but it's like, well, they would have had to do that at some point. They can't just like hold them back if they weren't gonna, if we didn't successfully complete the Ultra Unlock. Just I don't know. We didn't get much. It feels like all of the events have kind of been a bit similar. Maybe these, the fact that we got like 4 shinies in one event instead of 2 shinies is an improvement, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's not the thing that I really care about. So it's like, I just didn't I felt like it was pretty normal because it was just like, oh yeah, there's some different things spawning. I want to catch some of them. I don't want to catch some of them. There's something in raids that wasn't in there before, but again, they would have had to release that at some point. So it's not like it's something special. They didn't give it a special move. They didn't give it like a shiny on release or anything. It's just, it's there. You can get it. I don't know. It feels pretty underwhelming.
I think just communication. It's not even about the stop distance for me. I do really miss that though. I really want them to be a little bit more transparent as a company. A company that we give so much of our money to, so much of our time to, so much of our energy to, doesn't really feel like we get a whole lot back as a community. I think this game has a really unique community that they could really engage with, and they choose to not do that. Just hope that they kind of take that opportunity a little bit more going forward, because I would hate to see this community kind of start to dissolve, and it feels like it's doing that.
Anything from you, Sticks, that you think that we might see or that you'd like to see in sort of their changing of events to maybe start appeasing the community a little bit, or just what we might see anyway?
I mean, for me, I'd like to see. I think the spawns are they just change so often, and I think that's good. It keeps the game fresh and everything. I would like to see maybe like nesting Pokemon kind of change. I know they've talked about that a little bit with seasons, how they're going to, certain Pokemon only spawn during the winter and that kind of stuff. So I think that keeps it fresh. And I think that's an interesting concept. But yeah, definitely the communication is just something that's lacking. And I would just like to see, like I said before, just that personality and get to know some of the employees. And I know remote working and that kind of stuff has messed with a lot of that. And so if they could get back to some semblance of that, and they've done a little bit with the community events during community day where they've Niantic employees or people they hire, I don't know how that's working exactly, are going out in the community and handing out swag and that kind of stuff. So it'd be nice to see, I don't know, more of those kind of things where they can engage the community on more of a personal level instead of just being blanket marketing tweets that are going out blasting everybody. Instead of, yeah, that's my main thing. It's just that they're lacking that right now. Probably the biggest thing.
Now, I feel like Ethan's an important data point as well. You've gone to the point where at least you've taken the step of, at one point you uninstalled the game, at other points you'll just shut it off, you'll turn off location services, whatever mode you're taking. But what sort of thing could they have in the next event that would show you enough like good faith and maybe like the kind of mechanic you'd like to engage in, where you'd be interested in actually having the game open as a more regular thing? Or do you think that that's a bridge you've just crossed and you may not go back?
So something that was huge for the last game that I was part of, which was a mobile game as well, called Vainglory, was the patch updates they would do. Like, I would always be super excited whenever there'd be an update, because there'd always be a live stream tied to it with the employees and people talking and being excited about whatever updates that are coming. Like, I like, imagine if they, for GBL, if they did like a stream where it was like some of the employees and they'd be like, yeah, of course, like, we have our issues with GBL, but we're going to acknowledge that. And on top of that, these are some of the new features coming that we have planned for this season of GBL. You can be excited for these things to come. And then they have like gameplay footage and things like that to get people excited. That's something that's missing from this game. And I like that Styx brought that up, because like, I would be so excited every single time. Like, granted, the game that I last played was a MOBA, so it's sort of like the Pokemon Unite kind of vibe, where they would like, every time there's like a patch release, it'd be like, oh, this hero is really good right now, you should be excited to play this brand new hero. And then they would like show gameplay footage, and they would talk about all the patch notes. And then they would even have like, I remember being on one of those streams, because they would have like these instances where they would invite the community to actually beta test the game. So like, that for me is really, like, I like when games do that. They have like a separate client that's like a beta test client that they actually like want their community to be a part of. So like that, those sort of things make me excited. Just like when I say transparency and when I say that I'm not we're not getting enough from them as a company, that's what I'm talking about. Is like that's the transparency. That's the kind of transparency that I think that everyone would like, just to see that excitement, not only like through the words of the patch that they post on their website, but also through some of the employees, like maybe getting on and talking about it, because that gets people excited. That's what like Sticks said, like that's the kind of personality that we need to see from Niantic, because right now it's just all Twitter and like words that don't really mean much. But yeah, um, that's what I would like most out of anything. And it's not even like GBL centric. Like they could have people come on and talk about the brand new Pokemon that are out. They could have people come on and talk about like, oh, we're doing this like X community event, and then we're inviting this community to participate if it's safe in your area or whatever. Like whatever it is, as this whole pandemic like progresses, because I know things aren't shaping out too great in the US, but like that's the kind of communication I'd like to see at least. And no Pokemon can really like solely fix kind of my like where I've fallen to, or where I've fallen in this game, like with my stance. Like I feel like I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of my sets next season. Maybe I'll just do them out of habit, but I won't. I certainly won't be in the same state of mind that I was in, um, like at the beginning of all this, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. But yeah, like if they communicated more and they talked about new things coming and they were just as excited as their player base, then it would make me more happy. I think that's the same with literally everyone. So yeah, every game has that. Like I think of like the last game I brought up, but then also like Overwatch. Like I was like the people on those streams, like Overwatch patch notes, were actually like super. They were like so excited about the game, more so than the community. Like these are some passionate people. Like I wish we had that with Niantic. At least I wish we could see that, because I'm sure there are people that are really passionate about it at these Niantic meetup events. We just need them on like a video or something, so that way like everyone can see that they're passionate and they're like dedicated to fixing these problems. So that's it.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. I've always wanted to see that. I mean, it's a pipe dream, but I'd love to have people from Niantic on the show and talk to them, interact with them. But I know that they're going to go out there in a much more controlled way, do it their way. But please do it. Like whoever takes over Liz's job, you may not be able to be immediately as beloved as she was by so many people in the community. But if you take those steps to kind of move in the direction of showing more of kind of the inner workings of Niantic, the excitement, the people of Niantic that actually make the game, and the process, then I think that that'll be well received, and it can only help. So I would love to see that. I don't even know if they've got her successor lined up yet at this point, or if that's been announced, but I think that would be big. Anything either one of you want to plug on the way out in terms of anything that you're going to be releasing this week on the YouTubes or to watch for, or anything that we haven't hit on that you're involved with? I'll say Sticks first so that I don't get awkward silence.
Yeah, just I'll be working on Sylph faction stuff and have ranks coming out. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll see about that at this point, but yeah, definitely just working on the Sylph faction stuff. That's all I'm really focusing on right now.
I just want to plug Jigglyad's follow button down below. That's about it.